Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 91. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Kevin Ardahl and Sean Beatty. Go ahead and tweet us. I am at Beatty_Matt. Sean is at Sean_Beatty. Kev is at SEA2Believe on Twitter. C2Believe on Twitter. Like our videos on YouTube. Dislike them. Tell us what you think of the topics we talk about in the comments below. Guys, it's been a while since we have been on the podcast. Some illness, some vacations, but we are back after a few weeks, and let's get right into it. Let's talk about some Seattle Mariners news that just came out today, and I'm not sure if it's a surprise outside of in Seattle, but outside of Seattle it might be a surprise, but I'm not sure what the national reception is. Julio Rodriguez was named the AL Rookie of the Year. He received 29 of 30 first place votes because nothing can be unanimous today. Adley Rutschman of the Orioles got the other first place vote. George Kirby actually received one third place vote, so he got onto that list as well. Julio, Adley Rutschman, Stephen Kwan of the Guardians, Bobby Witt Jr. of the Royals, and Jeremy Pena of the Astros were all on that list. So what do you guys think of this news? Kevin, what did you think?
Oh, it's hot trash. No, I'm just kidding. No, he deserves it. I mean, though Stephen Kwan did have a really good year though too. So, but it's just, I mean, the numbers that Julio put up were just ridiculous, and the fact that he didn't play a full year, whereas Stephen Kwan, I think, started on day one.
He lost. The second place was Adley Rutschman.
Oh.
Yeah.
But no, it's good for the organization, and also then it makes, not only is it good for Julio because he deserved it, he worked hard for it, and it's gonna boost his confidence going forward. But it shows to possible free agents, be like, hey, I mean, they know who. I mean, if you don't know who Julio is now, you're in a cave, right? So it just adds more incentive. I guess not incentive, but like. Just more of a light. It shines a brighter light on what's going on in Seattle, so to speak, and it makes it more of a, hey, maybe I should, if I'm a free agent, I might want to look into what's going on in Seattle type of deal. So,
Sean, what did you think of the news? Hold on, before we get to Sean, 5th Mariners rookie to win AL Rookie of the Year. Can you name the other 4 guys?
A-Rod, probably.
A-Rod.
No. Oh, really?
Junior.
Junior.
No.
Junior didn't win Rookie of the Year?
No. I have it in the story right here.
I don't even have to think about that.
Well, Ichiro.
Ichiro, yes. 1.
Man. Kyle Lewis, the other one.
Yeah. 2.
Yeah. Felix?
No. Was it Mr. Mariner, Alan Davis?
Alvin Davis, yes, 1984.
I have literally
one
no
more
idea. I have no idea.
The year before Ichiro.
Is it gonna? So it's
the closer
gonna be,
that may have hurt himself.
Yeah, Kazuhiro Sasaki.
Yes, those are the other 4.
I was gonna guess it's gonna be something weird where it's not like a rookie, but like like an Ichiro. It's gonna be where they're like older or something like that. I would have maybe guessed the Bear, but yeah, that'd be my first guess. But yeah.
Sean, what did you think of Julio joining that company?
I mean, I think it was pretty obvious he was going to win. I will say I was surprised it was as big of a landslide as it was, because Adley Rutschman had a very good year, like a very, very good year, and people didn't really talk about it because I think Julio's vibes and aura kind of stole the show. But I do want to say I think Adley deserved a little bit more love, but I do think that Julio deserved it for what he did also in bringing a team to the playoffs. I did see something of which they ended up the season with the same WAR and everything like that, a Fangraphs WAR, and then but I did see something where Julio's, from what the Mariners got last year at a center field versus this year, was a huge step up compared to other positions. So that really bumped it up for a lot of people. It was like, look, what the Mariners got last year, we're getting from center field versus what they got with Julio was like massive upgrade. Jumps in baseball history, so it's hard not to give a guy like that a lot of love. So yeah, it was pretty obvious. Why didn't Kirby get like one vote?
He got a 3rd place vote. He got one.
Oh, he did.
Place vote.
Okay, there you go. I only saw the picture where it had like 4 people. So I was like, and pinging place votes or something like that. So okay, Kirby got a vote. Good.
Yeah, Julio led all rookies in homers, OPS, and total bases. And, I think Julio got also a big bump in national recognition from the Home Run Derby, the show that he put on in LA in the middle of the summer. So I think, especially with the Mariners' success partnered with Julio coming onto the scene, it was just a recipe for hopefully greatness down the line, as well as greatness during the season and getting the Mariners to the playoffs. So hats off to Julio Rodriguez for winning the Rookie of the Year award. Hopefully more awards to come in the future. But let's talk a little bit more about some other news. Sean, you've got Dave Cameron on here.
Yeah, Dave Cameron, a famous podcaster for the local Seattle area, has been a pretty big nerd in the past. And I to one of my buddies, he said it's great. It's about 10 years too late, but I guess they hired him as senior director of player procurement. He used to work for Fangraphs, and he was a old Mariner blogger as well. And yeah, it's very good that they got a really good local guy too, and a Mariner fan back there, and a smart one that people are very, very pumped about. I follow quite a few other baseball nerds on Twitter, and they were like, "This is a very good move. He is very good at his job," and so I'm glad the Mariners took him from where he was previously. So yeah, that's it. Yep. Bring back Just Sullivan.
Thoughts?
Bring back Just Sullivan, and the tri-run will be complete for the race. So, but bring him back.
Kevin, any thoughts?
Good stuff. No, any addition of people that know analytics and advanced stats to add to a club to where you're more likely to build your squad around that. I mean, if you've seen Moneyball, you pretty much know that the more you have that, the higher chances of success you're going to have. So I think it's good.
Yeah, hopefully it'll add to the Mariners analytics department and bring in more good players to the team. So good move there by the Mariners. Let us know what you think of these two things. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Matt. Sean is at Sean Scorbedi. Kev is at SEA2Believe on Twitter. Like our videos on YouTube. Tell us what you think in the comments below. We're going to move on to the Seattle Seahawks. And it has been a while since we have been on the podcast. So we're going to go over the last 4 games since we've been on the podcast. I'm not going to go down the box score of all of them, just the most recent one. So last time we were on the podcast, we had predicted the Chargers and Seahawks. We were all incorrect. The Seahawks won 37-23 over the Los Angeles Chargers in Los Angeles. Following week, the Seahawks hosted the New York Giants, and they won 27-13. 2 weeks ago, they went to Arizona and took on the Cardinals, and they won 31-21. And yesterday, if you got up early like myself and Sean did, well, you woke up to not as fun of a game as you would have liked. The Seahawks lost 21-16. Go over the box score here. Gino was 23 of 33, 275 and 2. He was the leading rusher with 4 carries for 22 yards. DK Metcalf, 6 for 71, no touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, 6 for 55, no touchdowns. Tyler Lockett and Marquise Goodwin, each with a touchdown. Tom Brady, 22 of 29, 258, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Also, Leonard Fournette had an interception. We'll probably get to that at some point. Rachaad White was the main back here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 22 carries, 105 yards, no touchdowns, but Leonard Fournette did have a rushing touchdown. Chris Godwin, 6 for 71 and a touchdown on my bench. Kind of frustrating there. But Mike Evans, 5 for 54. Julio Jones had a touchdown as well. Shout out K-Dot and Tumwater High School had 3 for 35. So we'll just kind of talk about how we felt these last 4 weeks have gone. I'm going to start with Sean. What have you thought of the Seahawks at 6-4 now, going on the bye?
If you had told me that before the season started they were 6-4, I would, well, one, say you're lying, but two, I mean, I think it's good. What does make me nervous is when they play teams that are good on defense, they don't do much. It does make me a little nervous. but the Cardinals are a dumpster fire. I don't know if you guys saw, they cut, Benjamin reason, and then straight up cut him. Yeah, I know your reactions to that was my reaction too. He played great. Connor gets healthy, and they don't even split carries. They just straight up cut him. Ertz is done for the year as well today too. Their season's basically over. The Rams can't do anything because Stafford's hurt. So it's basically the Seahawks and 49ers in a 2-horse race. The rest of the NFC West is getting in a division. So Seahawks, you got to lead. You're playing a 4th place schedule. Like, don't screw this up. I will say we'll go with Chargers. Chargers, the curse of Seahawks, I guess the benefit of the Seahawks never playing a number 1 receiver continued. The Chargers, I don't know if you've seen them, and they just played the other day. They have nobody's healthy. They like the Lions earlier today. They just had nobody catching passes out there. They have guys running wrong routes. I was listening to a podcast where they just ripped on Gerald Everett for 20 minutes because they literally caught him multiple times running a route, realizing in the middle of the route he's running the wrong route, and then turn around and try to run the correct route. And of course, Herbert's like, "What are you doing?" Like, when guys are not running routes and like on the fly making it up and they're trying to backtrack, it's just like people run into each other. It's terrible. They're gonna probably fire their OC too. It's just it's a dumpster fire in land. Just Herbert's just dragging a corpse of an offense around. The Giants are not a 6-3 team, but are a 6-3, 6-2, because I think they had a bye.
I thought they were 7-3 actually.
Did they win? No, I don't. They had a bye, I thought. What are they officially now? Hold on, I could look it up right here.
Here, I'll pull up the standings here.
They are
7-2.
Yeah, largely paper tigers. I mean, they beat the Texans. Congratulations. But it's just it's so they beat them in the way they should, which was positive. They beat the Cardinals in a way in which they should by 10, which was good. The Bucs, unfortunately, are a better team than both those teams and kind of took it to the Seahawks a little bit. They're able to stop the run game, and unfortunately, what I didn't like when they stopped the run game, it basically stopped Geno in his tracks. Geno played better than his numbers indicated. However, EPA per play, Tom Brady was almost 5 times better than Geno Smith was, so I don't really care about passing yards and touchdowns and all that stuff. Tom Brady's total expected points added was 16, Geno's was 6. Like he was just much better than Geno was on the game. Took what they gave him. Did a lot of nice things. The Seahawks, I don't want to say it was all garbage time. I made a comment online, but when you're down 21-3 with 8 minutes left in the 4th, part of it's garbage time when you score 2 touchdowns to come back. Cody Barton did make a great play to pick Tom Brady, and they got a quick touchdown after that to actually make it a game. But that first touchdown was kind of garbage time to let you go down the field and let you kill some time. Didn't anticipate Brady throwing a pick and breaking his longest interception streak, second longest in NFL history. But I mean, if the Bucs don't throw that pick and I don't know what they were doing. They're moving the ball. I'm kind of telling this to Kevin, and I know Matthew saw it, but like they're moving the ball. They're going down the field. It's not a problem. And then they're running this trick play on their own on the Seahawks 20, where they run with Leonard Fournette, who gets one-on-one, and Woolen stays on his man, which is Tom Brady. And then he still throws it anyways, and then underthrows it by like 4 yards, and Tom Brady falls down, and Woolen is just staying there like no one around him. He's like, I'm gonna catch this football then. And then that's how the pick happened. I'm like, guys, like, 1, to call the play, 2, to follow through on the play, Leonard Fournette. It would have just been better if you just took a knee. To still make the decision to throw the football was just, it was a gift, and I appreciate it. It made it more of a game than it should have been. But Geno Smith gave it right back. They moved the ball down the field right after that, and then Geno fumbled it. But I'm not gonna like harp on Geno too much for one fumble. The Seahawks did adjust at halftime. They stopped running the football because it wasn't working. And you throw in this league to score points, and they started throwing the football in the second half, and that was really, really good. I'll give Pete credit, and like I don't want to go too much to give Kevin a chance to talk, but Pete this year has done what the nerds want. He is throwing in the first half. Geno's been great in the first half, not great in the second half, and they get a big lead, and then they run the football at the end of the game, and they hold the lead, and that's exactly what you want to do. And they had to flip it because they were down, but they did it pretty effectively. Wish they would have done that a little bit earlier and stopped wasting so much EPA and time on running with Kenneth Walker, who just looked horrible. But I think that's just because the Bucks were like, you're not going to do it. So you're not going to run on us. And as we've found out, no, if the defense says no, it doesn't matter who the running back is, you're not going to run. You need your quarterback to step up. And Geno did too late, but he just didn't get a lot of opportunities in the first half. So I guess I would say adjust quicker next time, but I did appreciate that they did adjust at halftime and start doing the correct thing after that. So that was good.
Kevin, what have you thought?
Yeah, the Chargers game was a little bit of a surprise, though, as Sean mentioned, like everybody dead on the Chargers, which that's kind of nothing new. Like it's just the Chargers curse, or that like it's usually linemen, but like now it's like receivers and like other players.
Well, it was usually linemen, then 1 year was like defense, and then now it's like they have no receivers. They just have nobody.
Yeah. So, that was not to discredit. I thought the defense had a good game plan for them, and they executed it well enough. It's just they did get, you're not going against Keenan Allen. So all in all, I thought they did okay with it. They shut down Eckler's run game fairly efficient from what I remember, but it's been 4 weeks, so I might be wrong.
9 for 31 and a touchdown.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's
he did catch 12 for 96 and a touchdown. So
that's their whole offense.
Damage.
Unfortunately, the problem on their end.
Next game at the Giants. Yeah, as Sean mentioned, they're not really the team that they are. Like Daniel Jones is just the Seahawks did what they should have done, which is stop Barkley, who's their main weapon. And they're like, we're gonna make Daniel Jones beat us with his arm. He couldn't. And they won, pretty much. Like, Giants defense gave him a little bit of trouble. I was expecting more because the Giants defense has been more known for blitz packaging. Their defensive coordinator is like the number one defensive. He just throws out the most like statistics for blitzing and stuff like that. Most blitzes by any D coordinator. And we didn't really see it a whole lot, which was kind of weird. I mean, there was some blitzing, but like I expected more out of it, which I was like, oh, we're gonna have a really, because like that's what Arizona did to us the first week, and we got our butts like, even though we came away with a win, but like, I mean, Geno got sacked like what, 6 times. So we came away with a good win there. Kenneth Walker looked good that game. Yeah, moving on to the Arizona game. More mishaps by Arizona. It was like after the first touchdown by D Hopkins, they literally did nothing. Like literally other like honestly, if that pick 6 doesn't happen, it's not even a game. Like, unfortunately, Geno didn't see the linebacker behind cross on the weird like screen, but I mean it happens. You know, he's gonna make mistakes. He's not perfect. All in all, that game, you did what you needed to do. Kyler Murray, who apparently I have to ask Matthew a question. Is he still the best quarterback in the NFC West?
Currently, I think that would belong to Geno. But if you're asking me on any given day to take a quarterback, I would probably take Kyler over most. Yeah.
Though it's weird. He literally needs to learn how to run with that thing.
Don't sleep on Jimmy G.
Don't talk smack about Total.
He is pretty good looking back there. I will give Jimmy.
He has the 4th highest EPA per play. I don't.
But like, you shouldn't be running with the ball like in your hand. Like,
yeah, that's a good call.
Every week he does that. The Seahawks got him twice.
Yeah, like I don't understand how he hasn't learned from his previous mistakes, and he did it. Didn't he do it twice?
Yeah, he did it once in each matchup. Yeah, he's like they've literally caused.
He learned after the first time around that he would not to do it, and then he did it again. I was just like, oh my god, what are you doing? I'm like, to tuck that thing. So, but I mean, it helped in our favor. But I unfortunately did not see the Germany game because I was almost getting hypothermia, but I'm not going to go into that. So I just got to see the score at the very end, and then I got to see the box characteristics of when I saw that Geno was the leading rusher of only 20 yards. I was like, oh, so what happened was, because I know the Bucs have a good run stopping defense, and we're the number one run stopping defense like 2 years ago, and pretty much have the exact same defense more or less. They're going to still probably, I mean, they're not going to be the number one again, but they're probably near the top, I would imagine. I could be wrong, but they shut down Kenneth Walker, and then Pete took too long to shift gears, kind of like he did in the Dallas game, and then just asked Geno at the end to do it. But Geno's not Russell Wilson, and people learned that to where like he couldn't come back and save them with just his arm. Even though, yeah, there was 2 touchdowns I saw with Tyler, and I didn't get to see where they were at, but which is good for what he can do, I guess you could say. But like, I don't expect, those are the games that I expect us to lose, because I know Geno doesn't have that capability like Russell did, to where he could put the team on his back and be like, go. Even though he's technically kind of done it I'm kind of contradicting myself, because he's technically kind of done it for the first 4 to 5 weeks, because like we don't win those games without Geno.
Yeah, the Lion game, we needed every bit of Geno that Lions game.
Like, well, I mean, that defense was also a hot pile of dog poo.
I mean, he still put up what he put up 40 something points.
48.
I mean,
That going against a better defense like the Bucs, I don't expect to do that. I mean, the fact that he put up 2 touchdowns in the second half was, good. But like, where I know a fact where like Russell could probably put up 28 points in a half, I don't think Geno could do that. Maybe if the run game is working too, a combination of both Kenneth Walker and Geno can do it. But with the run game completely shut down like what they did, it's just, those are the games you're not going to win. Unfortunately, Geno just doesn't have that capability yet. Could he get there? Probably unlikely. I can't say it's impossible that he could get there. I mean, nobody thought he would do with the things he's done now. So what Geno could do with more games as a starter under his belt, going, if we continue him on the next 2 years, like, I can't say that. He can't get to, I don't think he'd get to a Russell Wilson level, but he could get you to like an Alex Smith level, who can win you playoff games and make like just good, smart decisions and have accuracy. But like a lot of people, I mean, he does have a very accurate arm. And in fact, like there was an interview that Panthers tight end that we took, Greg Olson. He was saying that he had one of the most beautiful spirals, tight spirals that he's ever seen out of a quarterback. Though, I mean, that's not really saying much when Cam Newton's been your quarterback for quite some time, because Cam Newton throws just dog shit. But he throws the ball deep, but it's nowhere near a tight spiral. But I mean, to say that he had more of a tight spiral than Russell Wilson was an interesting point to put on there, and that he said that he thought Geno could play in this league, given if he was given an opportunity. And he's kind of shown that he can't be a serviceable quarterback. Like, he's not an elite top talent, but he could be a elite game manager, is the best way to put it. Like, and that's okay. You can win with that. You can win championships with that. Teams have won championships with that. It's just you need other pieces along with it, which we'll get into later on or in future podcasts. But all in all, being 6-4 right now is gravy, because I mean, I think I gave this team a maximum of 5 to 6 wins. So every win from here on out is gravy.
I think everybody did.
Yeah. So I'm already I'm gonna owe my brother, because I told him that if we got more than 7 wins, I would take him out to Red Robin. He can get whatever the hell he wanted. So I already know I'm gonna eat that bill later on.
We got to beat Oakland and.
You mean Las Vegas?
The Jets.
Yeah. We play them, the Jets, and the Panthers.
So I mean, the Jets.
No, the Jets are the Giants.
The Jets.
The Jets are the Giants. They're the same.
Well, it's true. I think they have I think they have an underrated defense and a good run game. But
they did.
Absolutely, yeah, they did. Yeah, I mean, Allen Robinson's or whatever his
James
name
Robinson.
Yeah, James Robinson. He's a serviceable back, But unfortunately, what they had with
Brees Hall.
Brees Hall, yeah.
Unfortunately, you have the other Wilson in the backfield. It's oh god.
I have a feeling the Jets, if they were smart, need to move off of that. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the Derek Carr sweepstakes next year, because Derek Carr is not going to be a Raider next year.
Who wants Derek Carr? like at this point, honestly.
I imagine if somebody took Matt Ryan, I imagine someone's going to take
that's not been good.
I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying someone will probably take a chance.
I know, and I think teams are learning with the Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan experiments that
it's possible that he might just be back somewhere. Or with the quarterback draft, depending on where they're at, but since they have such a good record, it might be harder for them to go get one of those guys that they want to get. Because most of the quarterbacks are going to go within the top 10, I would imagine. But anywho, back to the Seahawks. Most likely, everything is peachy from here on out. I'm losing my bet, and who do we have next week? I don't even know.
Well, we don't play. We buy. And then
we're on bye week. That's right.
We play Vegas right after that.
Vegas. Yeah. We should. Yeah.
Vegas, Rams, and Carolina in order.
So
probably no Cooper Kupp either.
Yeah,
for the Rams.
That's what I saw. I did see that. So.
No Stafford, no Kupp. So
we'll lose it. We'll probably lose it.
We should win that game.
We lost to a thumbless Jared Goff. Let's be real.
Hey, as long as Pete keeps doing the analytics stuff, we've been great. We're 6-4.
That's one thing I did want to mention. I am going to eat a little bit of crow on Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has adapted his strats a little bit, which I'm very glad to see. He's still not fully. You can tell he has tendencies where he wants to go back to his old self. But I am very proud of what Pete Carroll has done in letting Shane Waldron actually take control of the offense, because I know that's not Pete out there. Some of the run plays are the hard run, power runs through the middle, I imagine is more Pete. But he's allowed Shane Waldron to pretty much take, I would say 90% of his offense, 95% is probably a fair number. He probably has some say in what goes on in the run game because of the style of Kenneth Walker and how he likes it, and he loves those power. But I will say that Pete Carroll is not as dumb as Adam Gase. It's hard to say that.
Are you ready for this?
I am actually very proud of Kevin at this moment right now.
Are you ready for this, Matthew? Are you ready for this, Kevin? I
What?
disagree with you, Kevin. I think Pete has done a great job. Pete, this is not updated for this week because it just ended, which, by the way, the Eagles lost. So no undefeated teams anymore. But going into this week, the Seahawks were the fourth most aggressive team in neutral zone and neutral situation passing. That's all I ever wanted was stop running it on first and second down. And that's what he's doing. They also third least team in running on second and long, Kevin, in the entire NFL.
I know. They've actually been throwing, not doing.
They throw the football on 2nd and 10. Pete has literally ignored everything he's done since he got in the NFL and been awesome.
I think it's not more ignore. I think he's just allowing Shane to do it.
Well, if nothing else, that's Pete's credit because he's taken a step back,
letting him taking his foot off the gas, and letting Shane put the foot on, which is good. I trust Shane Waldron knows what he's doing, and he's shown that he's got this offense can function well. And what I like with Shane so far that I've seen is Shane is giving what the defense gives him, so to speak. He's not doing too much of one thing. Very balanced attack, and never really off. I haven't seen the Germany game, but hasn't done a Dallas Cowboy playoff game where he's really in the first half we're gonna pound the ball. And we don't care if it goes.
I think Walker only ran it 12 times, I think.
2.5. That's okay.
Well, the whole
Just-
game, like in
Whole
the
game he was like
Oh.
17.
Oh,
he
okay.
ran it 17 times.
Well, let me double check here.
I thought he ran it like 11 times in the first half. They let him run it
Okay.
6
How many rush attempts per back? Because
Oh, he had 10 total carries. Sorry. 10
Yeah, I was
total.
gonna say, I was
What
like,
about
he
the other
ran
backs? What
There
about,
were
like,
no other carries besides
Nothing.
Gino and
10.
Kenneth Walker.
yeah. There was a couple design runs for Gino, like 2, I think. So two of the
jet
4 were him.
sweeps? Jet sweeps?
No,
Remember a
no,
jet sweep?
no, because those
I
kind
need to
of
watch this game, man.
like
I've been
Kevin. The
last week-
Seahawks got 50 yards in the first half. Kevin.
I will still watch it. I know it's going to be.
No,
well,
that's what
I'm
I'm saying.
gonna
Like,
watch-
and
I
that's
watched
that's
the
the problem. Like when you run, and that's like kind of why the passing is always better than running, because when you run and fail running, you're going to do nothing. At least if you could fail 3 times, you could fail two out of 3 times and still get a first down. Running, it's not going to work that way. A successful run is like 4
my
yards. A
interest
successful pass like
is
11.
to see where DK and the other receivers other than Tyler Lockett are doing. Like are they getting their one-on-one? Are they beating them?
Like, oh gosh, passer rating has Geno better than, like, if no one on the planet looked at that game and thought Tom Brady was worse than Geno Smith. So like yeah, I'll get that. But yeah, like it's Kenneth Walker did not look good. This field is terrible, Kevin. So that's also a factor too. Cutting was an issue.
Now, did it feel like more Kenneth Walker sucking or the O-line sucking at blocking?
Probably
No,
both.
I think the O-line was actually
Both.
pretty good. I think the O-line was pretty good.
At run
again,
blocking.
It was a combination.
I think they were fine. It's again when the defense on their side says you're not running, you're not going to run in the NFL. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
who you are.
like I said,
So
a lot of people forget that their defense is very good at run stopping. So
it's just like that's what they were going to do. They're like and they didn't need to bring a ton. They were just like we're just going to you're not going to run, and they could tackle, and they're a good defense. And that's the problem is they played 3 top half defenses this year, and the Seahawks have put up average 13 points. I mean, that's it. That's all they've done against good defenses, and that's not going to. That's why I'm a little worried. I'm going to call it now. I'm a little nervous. This is the Nick Foles led Eagles situation where it looked really good because a lot of things broke right for 1 year and then fell apart because it was all smoke and mirrors. But because it kind of gives me those vibes where like you play a good team and it's not like it doesn't look very good. So, but I'm hoping they can adjust because we're barely halfway, right? Like into the season, 10 games into the season, yeah. 17 games
at
season
the halfway point, roughly.
Yeah, quite literally halfway. Yeah.
So, well, there's no halfway. It's 17 games.
Yeah.
But like, so they can adjust. But if this continues, it makes me very nervous when you can't beat good teams or put up more points than that against good teams. So, but I mean, we don't play any of the rest of the year other than the 49ers one more time. So it's not like it's going to matter till the playoffs if we go to the playoffs. So just please.
I'm actually super intrigued with the Kansas City game. I'm very intrigued.
But they don't have a great defense, at least.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
with the combination of the running and Geno, if Geno's on his game, like, can we keep? But that's also the thing is, can that defense keep Mahomes contained?
It's going. No, the issue is going to be. It's just going to come down to who makes the mistake. What wide receiver fumbles a football, or what running back fumbles, or a block kick or something like that, because. Yeah, Kansas City just makes a living off that. It doesn't matter that they don't have a great defense. They still are second most in the league in point differential. Like, it's just like they're just going to sheer overwhelm you. And they got Tony now. So it doesn't really who scored a touchdown. Like, it's just like they're just going to have so many weapons, and Mahomes just does so many things. It just doesn't matter at a certain point. But they're going to score. It's just like, can Seattle keep up and not make a mistake to keep pace with them? I think how it works now, they have a shot. We'll see in a couple. I mean, they play the second to last week of the season.
Third to last.
I think it's
Third to last.
week 15. I think.
Okay, the Chiefs.
16.
They'll probably still play.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because we have
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, they'll probably still be playing because they have the number 1 seed right now in the AFC, but the Dolphins are right there. So, all right. Yeah.
I'll jump in here. So I'll just kind of try and go over them as briefly as possible. So Seahawks Chargers, I'm happy to eat crow on that one. I think that was kind of the Seahawks coming out game because I think probably pretty much everybody picked the Chargers in that game. And the Seahawks came out, scored 17 in the first, and rolled over that team. I understand Justin Herbert didn't have all of his weapons, but as a quarterback, you do make your own weapons as well. So
to an extent, yes.
To an extent, yeah.
They've reached that extent right now, Matthew. It is horrible.
And he lost Mike Williams in that game, so that was tough for
Keenan Allen didn't play.
Yeah, Keenan Allen has been dealing with a hammy, so it's tough sledding for the Chargers right now. So but still, that game was the Seahawks dominated that game, regardless of who played in that game for the Chargers. The Seahawks dominated that game. The Seahawks and the Giants, that one was kind of funny because like leading up to it, all you heard on like TV was like, who would have thought this would be a game between two winning teams in the NFC? It was the 6-2 Giants versus the 4-3 Seahawks. So that one I was actually very confident in the Seahawks winning, and I took them +3 at the casino and won that one. So,
easy money.
That one was pretty easy. And again, that game, it just felt like the Seahawks were in control pretty much for the most part. They pulled away at the end. The Giants were in it for the most part, but it seemed like the Seahawks were basically in control of that game for the most part. So that was another solid win. The Cardinals game a couple weeks ago, that one, like Kevin said, they had that one touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins, and I have Hopkins on my fantasy team, so love that. But after that, they did absolutely nothing, and I also have DK and Geno, so that was a nice game for those two guys as well. So, I'll take the L with the Cardinals. I have been on that train for the last 3 years, and at this point, I think it's time, guys, that I need to jump.
you think it's time now? Like, oh my gosh,
Arizona Cardinals train. I still believe in the talent of Kyler Murray, but at this point, I need to see it before I can actually say anything this time. They just paid him a lot of money, so he's there. So if they can figure it out, I'd imagine Cliff is probably going to be the fall guy if there is one this year, but I don't necessarily see that happening.
It needs to be that GM. That GM needs to go first. You can fire Cliff too, but that GM needs to go. Like, it is just disgusting how little talent they have. It makes no sense too. Like, what are you doing with half of this? Like, this is not how you build an NFL team.
I mean, I'm not sure who the fall guy is or what the biggest issue is, but they need to figure something out, because you've got a quarterback, you've got a good wide receiver, protection's probably a part of it, defense is probably a part of it, but it just needs something different at this point. So I will take the full L on the Cardinals. I was wrong at this point, and Kyler, Call of Duty just came out, so maybe just take the rest of the year off and come back next year and just try again when there's, I guess there's a new Call of Duty every year. So, I mean, I don't really know and it releases in November every year.
Did Kyle look really bad in that game, Matthew? Like the Seahawks game?
He looked all right.
Geno
Certainly
looked better though, right?
I mean, I would say he was Kyler turned the ball over with 2 fumbles.
Yeah.
And Geno also had a pick. So I don't know. You could Geno was better. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the same passer rating.
Cool.
It's stupid. Don't ever say it again.
So the Cardinals have just not been able to figure it out this year, and it's great for as a Seahawks fan. Bad for my prediction, unfortunately. And then the most recent game, the Germany game, I went to a breakfast spot that opened at 6:30. I'm watching the game on my phone while I'm getting food. I got food from a very good breakfast place, and it was the worst chicken I have ever had from that place in my life. So I threw the chicken off, just had waffles and eggs, but that didn't diminish me watching the game, even though the Seahawks lost. The Seahawks did not play great. Like, I think we can all, for those of us who's watched it, I'm sure Kevin can just say that looking at the score, but the Seahawks did not play great. They got down early, and the Seahawks just, for whatever reason, don't really seem to have the ability to come from behind at this point in the season. It seems like, at least looking at their win-loss right now, every win that they have had, they've gotten out to a big lead, gotten off to a good start, and either built by scoring or that defense just was so good that they scored enough to start with to where it didn't matter. So that is one thing that concerns me with this team, is that if you do get down, you won't be able to come back. But I will say to Gino, I mean, first of all, he's proved everybody wrong about what he can do as quarterback so far. So I'm not going to doubt Gino at this point, because I doubted him before the season, and I picked 6-11. So I will take this time right now to say I was wrong. Could they lose every game? Sure, and I could be right, but I really don't see that happening.
You can't lose to the Panthers. Come on.
They could. They could.
Yeah,
So,
but you can't. You can't.
You can.
You- Like
you could.
the Raiders, you can't lose to a guy who last coached high school football. You can't do that.
Tom Brady lost to the Panthers. I mean, teams lose to the Panthers.
Well, especially
So-
this year. This year means nothing.
So it's, Brady, it's hard to bet against Brady. I did bet against Brady. I took the Seahawks on the money line this game. The Bucks were 3-point favorites. I thought the Seahawks would make it closer. It just, Brady played well. Gino also played pretty solidly outside of that fumble. That trick play, I saw Brady tweet afterwards that he slipped and he would have ran for 6 if he didn't slip.
He would have
Okay.
mossed him for 6.
Okay, Tom. Sure you would have.
Obviously,
but-
he's kidding.
Yeah. But I'm very happy with the rookie defensive backs so far. Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant have looked great. That pick by Cody Barton, didn't know Cody could get up that much, so that was a great pick by Cody. The Seahawks, as Sean mentioned, they did have garbage time in this game, and I don't know what garbage time is for whatever definition we're talking about here, but
The other team plays prevent defense.
okay, well, I mean, whatever, we're not gonna get into that, but it's the Seahawks, had they done more earlier, could have made this more of a game, but unfortunately, like, the Buccaneers were able to get out to a lead, run the football very well with Rachaad White, and the Seahawks just ran out of time. So it's, tough loss, but snap a 4-game win streak. Sorry, and they're sitting at 6-4 right now. And I don't know about you guys, but looking at the NFL as it stands right now, there's not really a team I'm super afraid of, especially in the NFC. The best team right now is the Eagles. They just lost to the Commanders. You've got the Giants sitting there at 7-2. Seahawks have already beat them.
Yeah.
The Vikings, really not worried about them. They have looked pretty good, but I don't believe in Kirk Cousins. So if he proves it to me in the playoffs, then feel free. But he hasn't shown anything to say otherwise for me at this point. And Tampa Bay has Tom Brady. So they are leading division, so you can't discount the Buccaneers, especially with how good that defense can be. And then you do have the 49ers in the Seahawks division, which you cannot count out because the Seahawks have already lost the 49ers.
Forgot the
Their
Cowboys.
defense is very good. The Cowboys, I mean, again, I'm not really scared of the Cowboys. I think that defense is good.
There's anyone in the NFC should be scared of. All the other teams should look at the Seahawks and say the exact same thing.
Yeah, I would
not
agree.
worried
I don't think the NFC.
The true.
Now the NFC could, getting in the Super Bowl, they could win the game. Like,
I mean,
no doubt
it's
about
one.
that,
It's one game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the AFC side, I mean, I'll throw this to you guys here in a little bit, but there's not really a team on that side that scares me either. The team that scares me the most is the Miami Dolphins. In all honesty, like Tua with Waddle and Hill. And then they acquired Jeff Wilson, and in Mike McDaniel's system, it looks like they are rolling on offense. And so far, they haven't really had to play too much defense because they score a lot more than most teams do. So if I were to pick a team that I would be worried to face, it would be the Dolphins, but that would not happen until Super Bowl if it somehow came to fruition. So, the Bills, I did predict them to go to Super Bowl, but they have kind of faltered here down recently. They lost to the Jets. They lost to the Vikings. They have lost to the Dolphins this season. The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, you can never bet against him. Well, I mean, you can, depending on who he's playing against. But they lost to the Colts, and I think who's their other loss this year?
I mean, the Colts game is just
and the Bills.
Yeah.
So, Chiefs, Bills, Dolphins, those are the teams that I feel like are the best. But I'm not worried about the Seahawks playing any of them. I think the Seahawks could line up and beat any of them. Sean, what do you think?
No, no, I think they lose to all three of those teams pretty convincingly. I don't think there's the only team who could beat any of those three teams in the NFC is the Eagles, I believe. Like, I think the Eagles are the true, like, I said this like week 2 of the podcast. The Eagles have maybe the most talented football team, talent-wise in football. It was just going to be how much does Hurts, how far does he grow? How far does he take them? And he's been pretty good so far this year. And they were 8-0 coming in today, and they're 8-1. I will say Minnesota, Matthew, for all this. They fired their Pete Carroll with Zimmer and look a lot better because they stopped running old school offense and like, hey, let's throw it to Jefferson. It's probably a good idea. Stop running it so much. They're good. Kirk Cousins went into Buffalo and beat Buffalo. Like they beat Miami, Matthew, in Miami. Like
I'm still not worried about them because specifically of Kirk Cousins. That is for me.
Clearly they're better than the Seahawks, but like, yes, can the Seahawks beat them? Yes. But Minnesota's probably more talented than the Seahawks. Like, that's just what it is at this point, even with Kirk Cousins. Because I mean, Kirk Cousins hasn't been bad. Like, let's just call it what it is. Kirk Cousins has not been a bad quarterback. So it's just gonna and I'll agree with you. The Giants, honestly, I'm gonna disrespect them, ignore them. Cowboys with Dak Prescott coming back now, finally, with that offense, with what they're going to do. I mean, people forget they haven't had Dak Prescott. They're still a pretty good team. That defense has been legit. I honestly doubted that defense. That defense has come back and repeated it. Not as much turnovers because, turnovers fluctuate year in and year out, which makes me scared for the Seahawks because they're getting a lot of turnovers. Next year, that might not happen. You have to prove you can actually be a good defense. Dallas is doing it right now. They're doing that. The 49ers, it's how far can that defense stay healthy? Can Jimmy G get? And can Shanahan in that front office not screw it up? Because I don't know if you guys saw, they gave more touches to Mitchell than Christian McCaffrey, which why you trade for running backs is one thing, and then you proceed to not give them the football. That's a whole different thing. How much will they shoot themselves in the foot? And the Bucs with Brady in that defense, if they just figure it out, they're a powerhouse. They're still the same team. It's just once they figure it out. And a team not to sleep on either, if a team gets hot, is those Packers. They still have Aaron Rodgers. If he figures that out, they've invested a lot on that defense. And if Aaron Rodgers and those wide receivers figure it out, it's still Aaron Rodgers. I think like a lot of people were like, oh, this season, blah, 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 blah. Like those guys back there all these quarterbacks didn't decide to take a dump this year. There's a lot of varying factors. It's been a very weird season, weirdest that I remember for a long time. And if these quarterbacks start figuring out, because we're halfway, there's still a lot of time. The NFC is terrible. Those Packers could easily sneak in. What are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're half a game out right now, the Packers. So like, I'm just like, there's a lot of teams that can make that run. And then the AFC, it's Kansas City, Miami, and the Jets. The Bills. It's those three teams, I think, and then it's pretty comfortably those three teams. Ravens, yeah. Tennessee, you could ignore Tennessee. They run a team.
Is there any team you think the Seahawks should be afraid of?
Yeah. I agree with Sean. The Vikings are a very good team, even with Kirk Cousins.
I would, if you're asking, I wouldn't be scared of them, Matthew, but they have to be the favorite when you play them. They are better than you, probably.
Oh, I would say they're the favorite. I'm not. I would.
Yeah, but
Seahawks,
you said scared.
I would not be afraid to play them.
I guess if you ask Kevin, is scared. Chiefs, Miami, Bills, and Eagles are the teams I'd be scared to play. That's it.
The team that's gotten really, I don't think they're the team this year, but they're a team to look out for the next 2 years, especially if they start drafting well, it's the Bears. They're finally let Justin Fields do what he can do. And Justin Fields has been going ape shit for the last 3 weeks. And sadly, their defense is nowhere near what and they just really don't have much of a throwing game. So
He has to pass it if they're going to take that next step. He is just not.
Well, I mean, he showed it last week. He had 3 passing touchdowns.
I mean, he hasn't. He had 123 yards, Kevin. They're all like 2-yard passes. Like it's not. He's had one game of.
But
he's
I
had
mean,
one game of over 200 yards, I believe, is what the stat is. Like he
but
just.
name a receiver over there.
I get
Darnell
that.
Mooney. Equinemy St. Brown.
I get
Dante
that.
Pettis.
Claypool. I get that, but like. They played the Lions and he had 160 yards passing. Like, I mean, it's all we talked about. The Lions cannot cover anybody.
The reason why that they're not passing is the same reason why the Rams aren't passing, really. It's because their O-line is fucking atrocious.
Well, Matthew Stafford has literally no arm, is also the reason.
Yeah. Well, the Rams have no O-line at all. Like their O-line.
I think step one is Stafford is really hurt. And then step two is they have no.
I would disagree. I would reverse it. That O-line is literally like.
It doesn't matter if you give him all the time in the world. He can't throw that 15-yard out route. It doesn't matter. Even if you give him all the time in the world, he doesn't. He's hurt. He cannot throw that.
Kick it, okay.
Maybe that's probably a better chance. He could kick it.
But I mean, O-line helps when
but you just can't get it there.
But with the Bears too, the Bears have a terrible O-line, barely any pass protection. So get Justin Fields and O-line starting with your next draft. Now that, you do have Mooney and now you have Claypool. So hopefully you can kind of build off of that.
Gone next year.
It's possible.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
I think he's a free agent, I believe. Like, are you paying Mooney?
Come back.
I don't know. I don't know.
Has Mooney proved that he's even good? Like, I don't know. Like,
we haven't had fucking O-line to keep.
Yeah, but you don't pay a guy without knowing who that is. Like, you can't be like, oh, I think.
I mean, you could pay him something.
Well,
to just come back.
Well, you shouldn't pay it. That doesn't mean you can't pay it.
Yeah, true.
They could.
That's true.
Anywho, other teams, Bills, Chiefs, definitely. For us, I would say the Titans too, because we just play like dog shit. We're like Kansas City. We're the NFC version of Kansas City to them, where we just suck balls against the Titans. I don't know why. They're so one-dimensional on offense, which is well, I mean, once Tannehill gets back, it could change.
They literally don't have receivers.
But yeah, like literally,
Tannehill is back, Kevin. Tannehill did play. They caught their first wide receiver touchdown all year on a flea flicker today or yesterday.
So that is a possibility. Dolphins, you should be, I wouldn't say scared of, but you should take them seriously. Maybe the Jets, just because Salas knows you, because he's a former former 49er coach and former, Seahawk coach, so he knows Pete Carroll.
Yeah, but you got Zach Wilson back there, man.
I'm saying defensively, it might just be like.
Yeah, but as a team, it doesn't matter. If you don't have a quarterback, I mean, gosh.
I agree. I think I think it would probably turn out the same way as the Giants game, where you shut down. Make Zach Wilson.
Yeah, you comfortably win that game. I'm not worried about the Jets at all.
Going through that thing in my mind. Yeah, Tampa Bay's, they could just figure it out. And
they just beat the Seahawks and won 2 in a row. So
Aaron Rodgers in the pack is definitely as a wild, because they could take a wild card. I don't know if they're going to take the division yet.
I mean, no, because they're 8. Yeah, they're so I think they've because the Minnesota has also beat the Packers as well this year.
So I mean, they'd be a wild card to where you might see them maybe like second or third round if they win and you win take the deal.
Well, no, because the Seahawks will probably win the division, so that they would have to come maybe to Seattle.
I would also like to point out my editor today.
If the Seahawks hold up the 49ers.
My editor today, he predicted that the Commanders would win, and I was like, I don't care as long as Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown combined for 30 points in my fantasy league to win. They did not, and it was pretty frustrating. But he also said at least WSU is going to a bowl game, and the Seahawks are going to a playoffs. And I said, hold on. Yes, WSU is going to a bowl game. That is for certain. There is no guarantee the Seahawks are going to the playoffs. None. They are 6-4. San Francisco's on their tail. The NFC East has 3 teams with winning records. And, there's all these other factors. So I am not counting the Seahawks in the playoffs right now. And I will not say that until they do. So,
Yeah,
It is hard because the NFC East does have to play each other still. So
they
that's
do, but I am not counting the Seahawks in the playoffs until it is official.
Oh god.
So it'll probably be 3 teams from the East, no one from the South, maybe the Packers.
If you're giving me if I'm putting a percentage on it, I would put it 50. I am 50% confident that the Seahawks will make the playoffs at this point.
What are they
Because
now? I think they were as high coming in this week as 80 to make it, and then I probably dropped to like 60 now, maybe. But I mean, I think it's a pretty good chance they make it right now.
I think you're right, but I also will not.
It's more than 50. It's more than 50.
I'm 50% confident. I don't know
Well,
what
they
anyone
have
else says. I would say
comfortably right now.
Put it on 50% at this point.
They're pretty comfortably right now, but the Seahawks have such an easy schedule. Like, I mean, yes, if you don't make the playoffs, you deserve not to go, because if you can't beat the Jets and the Panthers and the Raiders, then you probably don't deserve to go.
Well, I also saw they had like the 4th most difficult schedule down the stretch.
The Seahawks definitely do not.
Let me.
The Seahawks play
that's it, really, and the Niners.
Yeah.
So, but the main question in transition is, do they win their bye week?
I think so. I think they win it. I think they probably spent a little extra time in Germany. Maybe, enjoyed the sights a little bit, then flew home tomorrow. That would be what I would do.
Matthew, what else is going on in the NFC West during bye week?
Well, Kevin, I am glad you asked, because we can predict the rest of the NFC West. We're at about 55 minutes right now. The Rams are going to New Orleans to take on the Saints on Sunday at 10 a.m. And then I think it's Monday Night Football. The 49ers are playing the Arizona Cardinals in a stadio.
Is it Sunday night or
Mexico.
Monday night?
It's Monday night in Mexico.
Monday night.
Mexico City. Yeah.
So in the first game, I'm going to take the Saints. I don't think Stafford's back, and even with Stafford back, I would still take the Saints.
Saints are so bad though.
Better than the Rams.
Are they? Like, did you see that game? Did you see?
It's kind of poop versus.
Who do you got?
It's gonna be it's poop versus poop. Like, let's make no.
Well, one poop pile is gonna win, Sean, and who is?
Yes, I mean, I might agree with you, but to say one confidently is better than the other, I would not say that at all. The Saints are not good either. I would say this is definitely a coin toss. I will say if I think Dalton gets benched and they play Winston and they win.
Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it would probably be like 3 to 5 point win Saints.
And then
could be very low scoring.
49ers at Arizona. I need to learn my lesson. I'm taking the Niners.
Yeah.
Kevin?
This could be a trap game, because I mean they're so bad. The nuke is so good.
But they're so bad.
Is Will Hernandez back after that injury? I can't remember.
I don't think so. I don't know.
Probably, then probably Niners. Niners by 7 or 10.
Sean?
Yeah, the Niners just better. So I say Niners.
And then the Seahawks are on bye, so automatic W getting that rest there.
If that happens, then the Seahawks then are in a wild card, because they will then lose the division lead.
Yeah, that is true. Well, let us know what your predictions are of the NFC West and what you have thought of the Seahawks for the last month. Go ahead and tweet us. I am at Matt. Sean is at Sean Scorbady. Kev is at SEA2Believe. That's C2Believe on Twitter. Like our videos on YouTube. Subscribe to us. Tell us what you think in the comments below. We are at about an hour, gentlemen, but let's do a quick thing about Seattle sports. So this is Washington East to West sports, and we cover mainly Seattle sports because that's where all the major pro teams are at. So I just want to go over Seattle's 2022, and you guys tell me what you have thought of it so far. Obviously, still a month and change to go, but Mariners 90 wins, made the playoffs. Seahawks 6-4 so far. Kraken are 3rd in the division. We didn't quite get to them this week, but they are third in the division, 19 points. Sounders are CONCACAF champions. The Storm went to the semifinals. The OL Reign went to the semifinals. The Seattle Seawolves went to the finals. So, I mean, looking at Seattle's year, let's give it a grade so far. So I'll go ahead and start here. I mean, I have the Sounders CONCACAF champs, but they missed the MLS playoffs for the first time since they became a franchise. So that's a ding. So it's not quite an A. The Kraken are playing well in 2022 and 23. Didn't play good at the end of last season, so I'm going to give that a ding there. The Seahawks played in January, but no playoffs, so minor ding there. And then, Storm and Reign were both very consistent, very good. So if I'm giving this year a grade based on how the teams have done, put it about a B-, I think. Very good, certainly passing. And, as a fan, it's, the Mariners playoffs was satisfying. So far, the Seahawks have been satisfying. Sounders were satisfying for that CONCACAF championship. Kraken are looking good. And then Storm, Reign, Seawolves. So I'm going to go B-. Sean, what do you think?
I will say Mariners, awesome. Seahawks, awesome. Kraken, so far, yes. There are flaws, but we can get into that later. Sounders, I say it's a negative. They missed the playoffs for the first time in their career in the MLS, so that's a negative for me. Storm semis, good year for them. Didn't think actually they make that far. Reign out of the semis, good year for them. And anytime you lose in the finals, it's tough. But I mean, what is that? 3 finals in a row for the Seawolves? They won the first 2, lost the third one. You can only be so mad at a team going to 3 consecutive finals and winning 2 of them. I mean, like, it's just a lot of rugby to play. So good there too. The only one that's disappointing was the Sounders. And if that's the case, it's got to be an A. Like, I mean, only other than the Sounders not making the playoffs, that's the only thing that couldn't, I mean, in an ideal world, an unrealistic world, they all win the championship. But like, all things considered, Mariners awesome. But good year. Best out, better than I thought. Seahawks better than I thought. Kraken better than I thought. Sounders not. Storm better than I thought. Reign better than I thought. Seawolves lost in the finals. Like, A. Like.
All right. Kevin, what's your grade?
It's gonna sound like a copy, Sean, but yeah, I give him an A. Just because if you were to ask a lot of like main city team franchises, if you put it like percentage wise, we have all our teams are over a 50% like going to the playoffs, like winning success, like type deal. Not saying that they're winning stuff, but like the only other team that's really kind of done that recently is Tampa Bay. Like, I mean, you have so many teams that are going to the playoffs or have like winning records that you really don't see that out of a city's franchise, like all in a certain period, joined in one. Over a stretch, you have like 10, 15 years maybe, but like all within like a year's time is just very rare to see. Like the only other team I could really, like I said, only one I could really think of is Tampa Bay at the moment. Like,
well, I will point out
Philly's having a pretty good
season.
season.
And Phillies.
I was going to point out
Philly's
Philadelphia 8-1, lost in the finals for the World Series, lost in the MLS Cup against LA. So they're having a pretty good year.
Their basketball team, I guess, not.
Their basketball team's not bad. I mean, they made it to the semis
the only other
last year.
one I could
but I'm saying like this year, I thought they were
LA, other than the fact that the Lakers.
LA's like a cop out because they always have like 2 teams. Like it's like saying New York.
New York, yeah.
You always pick like one of the 2 teams.
But, I mean, you look around to other franchises or like other cities, you don't really see like
Tampa Bay is a good call. Tampa Bay is a good call, Kevin. Yeah.
But like
I mean, you could say San Francisco. The Warriors just won a title. The Niners went to the NFC title game.
That was like 3 years ago. I'm saying like within the last year and a half.
They went to the NFC title game this year.
Yeah, they played the Rams.
Oh, that's right, they did. Shit, I forgot.
Yeah, I think the
Golden State Warriors won the title this year. So
because the 49ers weren't very good, but they somehow went up in the championship game. But
anyway, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, they made it last year. Yeah. So It's,
And
you know,
then their players showed their age this year. Like, they got really old real fast.
But it's just really rare to see. And then I don't know what their soccer or their women's basketball and stuff like that. But
I don't think does San Francisco have one?
no.
I don't think so.
LA has
But I'm
an
saying
NWSL team.
so many teams
Oh, yeah.
that have, you know,
Yeah.
5+ sports franchise teams to their city having a winning season is very rare. So that's why I'd have to give it an A, more or less.
All right. Well, let us know what you would grade Seattle sports so far this year. Go into us. I'm at Matt. Sean's at Sean Scorbady. Kev is at SEA to believe. That's C to believe. Go ahead, like our videos on YouTube, dislike them, tell us what you think in the comments below. Please subscribe if you so inclined. Hopefully we will be back next week. We'll get into some Kraken talk. We'll have no Seahawks to talk about unless there's some sort of news, but you know, the trade deadline's over, so hard to see that happening. And we'll see what Mariners news comes up, as well as maybe talk about some topics we've put off for a while. But until then, we will see you next time on Washington, East to West Sports. Also, it's a B- because we don't have the Sonics. So bring back the Sonics, please.